Scout's laughter once echoed through the halls of the Quartermain home, but that joy vanished in an instant when a quiet conversation changed everything. What began as an ordinary afternoon quickly turned into a moment that would reshape her future forever. Drew noticed first that something was wrong. Scout had overheard a hushed discussion between adults who thought she wasn't listening. Names, dates, and unfinished sentences lingered in her mind, leaving her confused and uneasy. When she finally demanded answers, the room fell silent. The news Scout received was not what anyone expected. She learned that a major decision about her life had been made without her knowing, a decision involving her schooling, her living arrangements, and the people she trusted most. The realization that her future might change so suddenly left her shaken. Tears welled up as she struggled to understand why no one had told her the truth sooner. Sam rushed to comfort her, but Scout pulled away, feeling betrayed. To her, it wasn't just about the decision, it was about being left in the dark. For the first time, Scout questioned whether the adults in her life truly understood her at all. Meanwhile, tensions exploded behind closed doors. Drew confronted those responsible, insisting that Scout deserved honesty and a voice in her own life. What followed was a heated argument that reopened old wounds and exposed long-buried regrets. Secrets that were meant to stay hidden began to surface, creating cracks in relationships across Port Charles. As Scout listened from the staircase, she realized something even more painful. This change wasn't temporary. No matter what happened next, things would never go back to the way they were. But Scout is stronger than anyone realizes. Instead of shutting down, she makes a bold move, one that surprises everyone. She speaks up, demanding to be heard and respected. Her courage forces the adults around her to rethink their choices and confront the damage already done. By the end of the day, no final decision is reached, but one truth becomes clear. Scout is no longer just a child caught in the middle. She has become a powerful voice, and her future will no longer be decided without her. And as Port Charles braces for the fallout, one question remains. The night after Scout spoke up, sleep never came easily. Questions raced through her mind, each one heavier than the last. By morning, the house felt different, quieter, tense, like everyone was waiting for the next mistake. At breakfast, Scout did something no one expected. She calmly announced that she wanted to attend the meeting the adults had scheduled behind closed doors. The room froze. Sam exchanged a worried look with Drew, but Scout's expression made it clear this wasn't a request. Reluctantly, they agreed. At the meeting, Scout listened carefully as plans were discussed. She heard arguments about what was best for her, and for the first time, she noticed how unsure the adults sounded. When Scout finally spoke, her words were steady but powerful. She explained how sudden changes made her feel invisible, and how trust, once broken, was hard to rebuild. Her honesty changed the tone of the conversation. Still, a new complication surfaced. A letter arrived that afternoon, unexpected and unsettling. It revealed that someone from Scout's past had legal influence over the decision being debated. No one had mentioned this person before, and the omission felt deliberate. Drew was furious. Sam was stunned. Scout felt something else entirely. Fear mixed with curiosity. Who was this person, and why were they suddenly involved now? As tensions rose, alliances shifted across Port Charles. Some believed the letter should be ignored. Others insisted it couldn't be dismissed. Whispered conversations spread, and soon Scout realized her situation had become the center of a much larger struggle. That evening, Scout made another surprising choice. She reached out directly to the person mentioned in the letter, determined to hear the truth for herself rather than rely on half answers. The call was brief, but what she heard changed everything. The voice on the other end claimed to have been watching from a distance, waiting for the right moment to step in. When Scout hung up, her hands were shaking, but her resolve was stronger than ever.
She knew now that the hardest part wasn't the decision being made about her life. It was discovering who had been quietly shaping it all along. And as Port Charles braced for the fallout, one thing
Morning,
was certain.
Scout woke with a heavy feeling in her chest. The phone call from the night before echoed in her mind. The calm, confident voice had sounded too certain, like this moment had been planned long ago. At the breakfast table, Scout surprised everyone again. She asked a single question. Why now? No one had a clear answer. Drew admitted that there had been discussions in the past, ones he believed were settled. Sam confessed she had trusted the wrong people to keep Scout protected from complicated truths. The realization that even the adults had been divided for years made Scout feel both sad and strangely empowered. Later that day, Scout insisted on meeting the mysterious figure face to face, but on her terms. A public place, no pressure, no secrets. Drew and Sam reluctantly agreed, staying nearby but out of sight. When the person finally arrived, Scout recognized them immediately, not from memory, but from old photos she'd once stumbled across. The resemblance was undeniable. The conversation started politely, but tension lingered beneath every word. The visitor claimed they had stayed away to avoid disrupting Scout's life. They said circumstances had changed, and now they believed Scout deserved options. But as Scout listened, she sensed something else, a motive left unspoken. Then came the reveal. The timing wasn't random. A recent development in Port Charles had reopened questions about responsibility and influence. Scout wasn't just being considered out of concern. She had become part of a larger plan. Scout stood up. She calmly told the visitor that being a possibility in someone else's strategy was not acceptable. Her voice didn't shake. The strength in her words surprised everyone, especially the person across from her. That meeting ended without agreement, but not without consequences. By evening, rumors were already spreading. Friends took sides. Old grudges resurfaced. And Drew received an unexpected message that suggested the situation could escalate faster than anyone anticipated. Scout overheard part of the conversation and understood one thing clearly. This wasn't about her future anymore. It was about control. And Scout had no intention of letting anyone take hers. As night fell over Port Charles, Scout made one last decision. Quiet, but powerful. She began planning her next move, because the truth was finally out, and now she would decide what came next. Scout's next move came sooner than anyone expected. Early the next morning, Drew received a notice that made his blood run cold. A formal request had been filed, one that could force immediate changes before any agreement was made. It felt like pressure, not protection. When Scout found out, she didn't cry. She got angry. For the first time, the adults saw how deeply this situation had affected her. Scout confronted Sam and Drew together, telling them that silence and hesitation had allowed others to step in. Her words weren't cruel, but they were honest, and they hit hard. Sam broke down, admitting she had hoped to shield Scout from conflict, but Scout made it clear, being protected didn't mean being excluded. Meanwhile, the mysterious figure wasn't done. Through intermediaries, they began reaching out to people around Port Charles, teachers, advisors, even family friends, subtly reshaping the narrative. By afternoon, whispers turned into assumptions, and assumptions turned into pressure. Scout felt the shift immediately. At school, familiar faces looked at her differently. Some offered sympathy, others avoided her altogether. The isolation cut deeper than any argument at home.
That evening, Scout discovered something unexpected while sorting through old boxes in the attic. Tucked inside a faded folder were documents that told a different story, proof that earlier decisions had been influenced by fear, not facts. And one signature stood out. Someone Scout trusted once agreed to terms they now claimed to oppose. The realization was devastating, but it also gave Scout leverage. Instead of confronting them immediately, Scout shared the discovery with Drew alone. He realized the truth could change everything if revealed at the right time. As night fell over Port Charles, Scout stood by the window, watching the lights of Port Charles flicker. She wasn't scared anymore. She was focused, because now she knew something crucial. The people trying to control her future had weaknesses of their own, and Scout was done being underestimated.
Didn't wait long. The very next day, a gathering was called at the Quartermain home under the pretense of a family discussion. Almost everyone connected to the situation showed up, unaware they were about to face the truth. Scout stood quietly as the adults argued, voices overlapping, blame passing from one person to another. When it became clear no one was listening anymore, she spoke. The room fell silent. Scout calmly presented what she had found in the attic. One by one, she laid out the documents, explaining what they meant and why they mattered. She didn't accuse, she simply told the truth. And that truth was impossible to ignore. A trusted ally was exposed. The person tried to explain, claiming fear had guided their choices. They insisted they had acted to keep peace and avoid conflict. But Scout challenged them directly. Peace built on secrecy was never real. The revelation shattered long-standing alliances. Drew was stunned. Sam felt betrayed all over again. The mysterious figure realized their influence was slipping. But then came another twist. A surprise supporter spoke up, someone no one expected to take Scout's side publicly. Their testimony confirmed Scout's version of events and revealed that pressure had been applied behind the scenes for years. The balance of power shifted. However, just as it seemed Scout was finally gaining ground, a message arrived that threatened to undo everything. It suggested an emergency action could be taken within days, forcing a resolution before emotions settled. Scout read the message slowly. Then she smiled, because for the first time she wasn't reacting. She was ready. As the meeting dissolved into chaos, Scout pulled Drew aside and shared her final plan, a move so bold it could either secure her future or ignite a storm across Port Charles. Drew hesitated. Scout didn't. The episode ends with Scout stepping forward, determined and unafraid, as one question hangs in the air. Scout didn't sleep that night. While the adults argued in whispers downstairs, she sat at her desk writing everything down, what she wanted, what she feared, and what she would no longer accept. By sunrise, she had clarity. That morning, Scout asked Drew and Sam to trust her fully. No interruptions, no last-minute changes. Reluctantly, they agreed. Instead of waiting for decisions to be forced, Scout took control. She requested a formal session with everyone involved and insisted on having an independent voice present, someone whose only role was to speak for her. The request caught everyone off guard, especially those who believed they still had leverage. The mysterious figure tried to object. Scout shut it down. Calmly, she explained that every move made so far had been about adults protecting their own choices, not her future. She reminded them that she had listened, learned, and stayed silent long enough. Then came the moment no one expected. Scout revealed that she had already submitted a written statement outlining her wishes, backed by documented history and personal testimony. The room erupted. Some were impressed, others were furious.
Sam felt a mix of pride and guilt. Drew realized Scout had grown up faster than either of them had noticed. But the biggest shock came when another person stepped forward, someone previously neutral, confirming that Scout's statement aligned with what had been quietly recommended months earlier, but ignored. The tide turned. The mysterious figure's confidence cracked for the first time. Their argument weakened as Scout's voice grew stronger. Still, not everyone was ready to let go. A warning was issued. If Scout's plan moved forward, it could expose uncomfortable truths across Port Charles, truths that would affect more than just one family. Scout didn't flinch. She accepted the risk. As the session ended, Scout walked out with her head held high. For the first time since this ordeal began, she felt something close to peace. But outside, as she stepped into the sunlight, she noticed someone watching from across the street, someone who shouldn't even know the meeting had taken place. And in that moment, Scout understood. Her fight had reached a whole new level.